Okay, first what I'm going to do is pound my clay into a ball. Now notice I'm not hitting it too hard, I'm just gently tapping it because I want that nice smooth round ball. Now if you have a banding wheel, place it down firmly onto the banding wheel and just kind of rotate it around, pressing down the sides. If you don't have a banding tool, we're going to use our left hand as if it were the banding wheel and turn it as we work. Now I've made a hole with my thumb down to the middle, and I haven't gone too deep. I still have about a half an inch to 3/4 of an inch on the bottom for a base. Now as I rotate, I'm pulling the clay up with my outside 4 fingers, and my thumb is just kind of holding steady and allowing that clay to be worked over my thumb. Notice how I keep working the clay up. We want to work it up, not out, up. Now as I get to the top, you can see I'm really kind of stretching that clay up, but I'm not pinching the very tip to make it a sharp point at the top. I'm leaving some thickness there. Now once I finish with the top, I'm going to move down to the bottom, and I'm going to start working the bottom out. I want to start giving it some shape. Now that I've worked it up, I'm going to start working it out and giving it that nice shape. Now as I work my rim out and thin it out, I'm going to take and notice how it flares out quite a bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take and spin it and trim off the top part of that, because that flare out just doesn't look right. taking my metal rib and smoothing out the outside. All those pinch marks, I'm going to clean them up. I've gotten a little wet paper towel that I've torn up and gotten it just kind of wet, and I'm spinning and compressing down the rim to smooth it out. Ceramics is touching it as little as possible. Okay, carefully lift up your piece if you've got it on a banding wheel. Any scrap that I have left over, I always like to crumble it up and then put it back in my plastic bag to keep it damp. Now I'm creating a second pot, and I'm going to do it without a banding wheel. So some of you might have to do this. Now notice my left hand is just holding it while my right hand is doing all the work and kind of pinching around and working that clay straight up. I'm going to cut this up the middle so you can see the inside. You should not do this. Now once I cut it, look at the base. See how thick it is? we need that thickness, and what we're going to do is trim it away, and I'll show you how to trim it away here soon. But here's how you work your fingers. You take your outside fingers and you start to pull those up around your thumb, around your thumb. If your thumb's on the outside, then you'll push the clay over your fingers and just kind of work it up. Now that line, we need to trim everything below that line. So here's a loop tool, and I'm going to carefully trim around, not cutting a hole in the bottom of it. We're making a foot. Now what I'm doing is I'm trying to center the pot so that my foot can be centered as well. Once I've centered it, then I'm going to take and draw a line on top of it so that I can get the outline of my foot, and then I can cut away all the rest of the extra clay. I'm cutting off as much as I can without cutting a hole in the bottom. If I cut a hole in the bottom, then I've got a little bit of a problem and I'll have to patch it, and it won't look right. Now I'm cutting out the inside so that I can have a ring on the outside for my foot. Being careful once again not to cut through the bottom. Now I'm taking my wet napkin and smoothing off the foot so that I don't have any jagged edges that'll cut the table whenever it's sitting on the table.